Good morning. Welcome to Big Bets on Campus Live. It's 10:30 a.m. Eastern. I am your host, Stuckey. Joining me today, again, just like yesterday, my guys, Anthony Dabbundo and Cunningham. We have a lot to get to today for the second round, the second day of the second round. College basketball tournament betting action. But first, I do want to remind everyone to make sure you download the award-winning Action Network app. Lots of picks, data, content for today's slate and beyond. We're going to get to 2 rounds of best bets. We'll go around the horn for one final pick, and we'll mix in a market report from Darren Ravel in between. Let's just get right into it. First round of best bets. We got to go to our leadoff guy. BJ, what do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Auburn, Miami over 144.5 points. Auburn obviously loves to play a high tempo. They love to get out in transition, which is actually going to play right into Miami's hands because they are the most efficient team in transition per shot quality. Miami is going to have, if they're going to have any shot at this game, they're going to have to push it out in transition because Auburn, obviously with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler, are incredible at defending at the rim. But Miami is shooting over 64% on shot attempts at the rim. They did put up 1.13 points per possession on shot attempts at the rim against USC, who is the second best team in the country in terms of defending at the rim and top 5 in terms of height. Also, Auburn, really high foul rate on defense. Miami shooting over 75% at the free throw line. So I think it's a pretty decent matchup here for the Hurricanes. But on the flip side, Miami just doesn't have the size to match up with Kessler and Jabari Smith down low. I mean, Sam Wernberger is their tallest guy at 6'10". Also, Miami outside the top 200 in terms of defending post-up sets and field goal percentage allowed at the rim. So if this game is played in transition, which I think it will because Auburn obviously loves to get out and run, I think we're going to see a high-scoring affair. So I like over 144.5 points in Miami and Auburn.
Yeah, don't hit that at all. I like that some of the Miami bigs, everyone in Miami can really shoot. They can kind of drag them out as well. And you probably have some three-point regression coming. Maybe for Miami, would they go 1 of 16 against USC? I imagine they'll hit some outside shots in this one. Anthony, where are you going?
Yeah, horns up, baby. Texas plus 3.5. I was waiting for the opener. Thought it was going to be around 2. We got 3.5. I think that the biggest key in this game is Courtney Ramey's ability to defend Jaden Ivey. The 2 games they played against Kansas were Ochai Agbaji's worst 2 games of the season. It was the fewest shots he took. He only scored 8 points in the second game, and that game went to overtime, and he scored 6 of those 8 in overtime. So really, Ramey's ability to deny the ball to Ivey, keep it out of his hands. I think Texas has the athleticism to match and really overmatch Purdue in the backcourt especially. And Texas's offense quietly has really played a lot better second half, third of the season, where they've started to finally hit some outside shots for a change. And Chris Beard, I like him in the coaching edge over Matt Painter. I think that he's better in terms of making in-game adjustments than Painter is. And Texas doesn't quite have the size. Nobody has the size to match up with a guy like Zach Edey or Travion Williams, but they have enough athleticism to neutralize them. And if they're able to pull them out, and kind of go perimeter first and then, just drive and look for a lot of kicks, I think this Purdue offense or defense rather is in a lot of trouble in this matchup. I think this is pretty close to a toss-up game. So I think, Texas is going to slow this game down, keep Purdue out of transition and make it really difficult for Purdue to win this game.
Yeah, I think Texas can pressure Purdue into some mistakes. They can take advantage of some of that weakness on their perimeter, Purdue's perimeter defense. And Chris Beard beat Matt Painter when he was at Little Rock in the tournament, and then when he was at Texas Tech in the tournament, and now he's at a third different school facing the tournament. Wouldn't be surprised if he gets him a third time. I'm going to stay in the Big 12. I'm going to go with TCU, catching double digits. I think it's too many points. Look, TCU can battle. I mean, it's just they're men inside. They're as good of an offensive rebounding team as you'll find in the country. They're not going to be overwhelmed inside. You got Mike Miles, and here's my hypothesis. I said this before the tournament. Still a small sample size, but the Big 12 offenses getting out of that league of no middle, just you can't do anything, like just elite defense after elite defense, night in and night out. Now all of a sudden, hey, look, freedom. Like we can move. And TCU's, I think they're the team I think that'll benefit most from getting out. They're not a 3-point reliant offense. They don't shoot a lot of threes. So I think that they're going to thrive in the tournament. We saw them just absolutely crush Seton Hall. I think this is too many points against an excellent Arizona team, but TCU will battle here. And the Big 12 teams, I mean, look, Texas Tech is putting up almost 100 points. That's when maybe there's something there. So I'm going to go with TCU catching 10. All right, let's move on to our second round of best bets. Back to our leadoff hitter, BJ. What do you got?
Yeah, I'm going to go Villanova, Ohio State under 132.5 points. This pace of this game is going to be incredibly slow. It's mainly going to be played in the half court. Both these teams are bottom 70 in terms of adjusted tempo, both top 100 in terms of the percentage of their possessions coming in the half court, and also both are bottom 50 in terms of their average possession length on offense. So what you're going to see is a slow, grinded out game using the entire shot clock. The biggest thing when you're facing Ohio State is you got to be able to defend post up sets with EJ Liddell. Ohio State is top 5 in terms of the post-up frequency on offense. Villanova is top 65 in terms of points per possession allowed against post-up sets. So I think they'll be able to defend it, even if they don't have the height necessarily to defend Ohio State. Villanova, on the other hand, obviously with their slow tempo, they shoot a ton of three-pointers, one of the highest frequencies in the country. But what's weird about Villanova is they don't get a lot of open three-pointers. They're actually 316th in open three-point rate and 310th in terms of shot selection. And Ohio State defensively is 21st in the nation in terms of putting opponents into bad shot selection. So I think you're going to see a very similar game to the Ohio State Loyola game, where it's just going to be grinded out in the half court with long type of possessions with two really good defenses. So I think we have another grinded out game here. So I like under 132.5 points in Villanova, Ohio State.
Plus, no one can make a layup against Ohio State. So
Right.
Or a free throw.
Yeah, or free throws. Hard to go over a total, but don't mind that from a matchup perspective. Anthony, where are you going?
I'm going Houston -4 against Illinois. I had the spot circled before. As soon as the bracket came out, the mocks, great run for them, almost ruined the spot. I think this is a huge mismatch in terms of the backcourts. Curbelo and Frazier, we don't know what we're getting from them on a daily basis. Was watching the game yesterday with some Illinois fans, and they were very unhappy with Curbelo and just classic, fashion in the first half, turning the ball over left and right, trying to run in transition, wasn't working. Houston, I think, has a huge advantage, their ability to turn over teams at an elite rate, one of the best defensive pressure teams in the entire country. They're also going to be able to limit Kofi Cockburn, which is really the biggest key to stopping this Illinois offense, which has looked somewhat broken when Cockburn isn't there to save them. Plummer's been up and down, but this offense is really struggling. Who's the number one post-up defense in the country according to shot quality? Houston. So I think the Cougars are going to be able to limit Cockburn, keep him off the glass, and I think that they're going to get a lot of turnovers and run here. I think there's a blowout potential. Houston, I think, underrated, maybe not as much now because everybody watched Illinois struggle yesterday, but everybody, Illinois was the team picked more in the brackets to go to the Sweet 16 over Houston when the brackets first came out. I don't understand that, and that's why I'm going with Houston -4. I think this is just a huge backcourt mismatch.
Yeah, Illinois, I'll play devil's advocate for a second. One thing that would give me pause for concern is that, like, Illinois just had that game where they should have lost and they stole it, right? And they're kind of Jekyll and Hyde. You never know what you're going to get with them. They can look incredible at moments, and then they can look really iffy at others. Now they kind of, exhale, and they come out and play loose, and then they look a lot better. And now you're selling them kind of at their low point after that game. But from a matchup perspective, Houston does have a lot of advantage here and can defend the post, like you said. For mine, I'm going to go back to a game we just talked about. I'm going to go with Ohio State +5.5. I agree with BJ on this under, so I think it's going to be lower scoring, points at a premium here. And I think Ohio State's undervalued in the market. I look, their offense didn't look great the other day, but they got everyone back. It's one game. Their defense looked incredible. And I think that they can guard, they have the physicality to defend these Villanova guards that, love to post you up and go down. Like, they have the length here. I think they can compete 5.5, 6 in a game that I think is going to be a grinder. Too many, in my opinion. I'm going to go with an Ohio State team that, before the season, 2 months ago, if you looked at priors and you said, look, when they're all healthy, this team is really dangerous, and now they are all healthy. So I think they're undervalued here in the market. I'll take, 2 full possessions in a game that I think will be lower scoring. So give me the Buckeyes. All right, before we go around the horn for one final bet, it's time to check in with Darren Ravel for Sunday's market report.
Good morning, men. It was a great day for me yesterday. I did really well. Check out how well I did on the Action Network app, the award-winning. But don't look today, potentially. So we are looking at a very interesting day, our first day in the tournament, day 4, where there's a lot of split action. Looking at BetMGM, Villanova getting 51% of the money against Ohio State -5.5. Illinois getting 52% of the money +4.5 against Houston, and Duke getting 53% of the money -6.5 against Michigan State. So those are games where people don't really know where to go. The most confident bet by the public is Wisconsin, -4.5 against Iowa State. By the way, Illinois is still getting the most amount of tickets and the most amount of dollars. I've watched a lot of Illinois. Maybe this will be an old takes exposed, but I think that's interesting. The biggest response to a total is Texas Purdue. It's 134.5, 82% of the money at BetMGM on the bets, 93% on the actual money. So that's where we're looking today. Nothing too crazy, but I'm sure it will be because that's why they call it March Madness. Guys, back to you.
All right. Thank you, Darren. Time to recap. BJ, you went with Miami, Auburn over and Nova under, giving us 2 totals for you total backers out there. Anthony went with Texas, Horns up, and Houston, rolling with the state of Texas. And I went with TCU and Ohio State. One final order of business before we get out of here. It's at the horn. One final bet. Give a sentence why if you'd like. BJ, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with Anthony. I like Texas plus 3.5 against Purdue. The Texas' ability to slow this game down and play it in the half court is going to be key. And like Anthony already mentioned, Chris Beard's edge over Matt Painter, I think, is going to be too big. So let's go horns up. Texas plus 3.5.
Anthony?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Auburn -7.5. Going chalk here. Don't love laying a lot of points in the NCAA tournament, but I just think this is a nightmare matchup for Miami. They have no chance of matching up with Jabari Smith and Walker Kessler in the half court or in transition for that matter. And I liked the way Auburn was trying to run up the score a little bit yesterday on Jacksonville State. I know it's a big difference in terms of, Jacksonville State versus Miami in terms of quality, but I like the fact that Auburn is still looking to run. Jabari Smith is still throwing windmill dunks. That way, in this case, if we're up late, we're not going to see Bruce Pearl take his foot off the gas at all. I think Auburn's going to keep rolling and try to, keep their best players in the game if they're up 10, 12 late, which I think lessens the potential of a backdoor, which is really the only concern here because I do not think Miami gets any stops at all. They're one of the worst defenses in the entire country protecting the rim, and I think Auburn's going to have the field day running on them.
Yeah, I mean, look, worst comes worst. Auburn showed the other day, they obviously are playing to cover. The windmill dunks, threes in there till the very end. Yes,
not playing for my under.
Yeah, I'm a bitter Jacksonville State backer. So as you can maybe tell, I'm going to go, I think we're going to go 3 for 3 with Hookem, Texas. Beard or Painter, I think this is kind of closer to a coin flip. Purdue has issues. They have issues defensively. They have issues at times turning it over. The offense is excellent, but we've seen them be vulnerable. And I think Texas on the upswing. And again, back to the Big 12. I think the Big 12 has value getting out of league play. Those offenses that they didn't look so great. I think now you're going to see them look a little better. So I'm going to ride with the Horns. That'll do it for us. Thank you for tuning in. Make sure you check out Big Bets on Campus podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. We will have a Sweet 16 preview and weekend recap that'll be out by Monday morning. And then obviously we'll have an in-depth Sweet 16 preview later in the week. And again, make sure you download the award-winning Action Network app if you haven't already. Thanks for tuning in. Good luck on your wagers today. We'll see you next week.